Alex in the Sunlight. I'm Alex, and I'm so happy to see you. Please like this video, comment down below any requests, ruminations, or thoughts you may have, subscribe so we can spend more time together, and please consider becoming a patron over on my Patreon page. There you'll find little goods and things that are only for the patrons, and it's a really great way to support me in this channel, and I really appreciate it. Okay, so the purpose of today's video is to find out what your fears are and how to overcome them. Okay, I figured that this would be a pretty good topic since it's Halloween time, and you know, that's kind of like the energy in the air. We've got this new moon in Scorpio, and like the veil is thin, and there's like very intense energy happening with Mercury retrograde as well. So I feel like that can bring up a lot of fearful energy and activity within us. So I felt inspired to do this pick a card. And as you can see, you know, I'm dressed for the occasion. I'm not really in a costume, but I was trying to like do something at least, and I just figured, okay, if this is a costume, it's like me dressed as my shadow side. Okay, I know that's like really cheesy, but still. All right, so if you've already chosen your pile, that's totally fine. But if you could humor me and take a deep breath in, close your eyes, fill your chest and your belly with air, and exhale completely through the mouth, asking your spirit guides, your angels, or your higher self to aid you in choosing the correct pile for you so that when you open your eyes, the one you are drawn to first is the right one. Okay, we've got 3 groups here. Group number 1, smoky quartz. Group number 2, citrine. And group number 3, blue quartz. Okay? Let's get started. Hey, group number 1, those of you who chose smoky quartz. All right, so what I'm seeing for you guys right away is that your fear has to do with kind of like, I feel like you guys are afraid of disappointment or just like more setbacks or more pain. I feel like, you know, you guys have been through a lot of things, as we all have, but for you guys it may just have been overwhelming to the point where you've just kind of learned to build up this way of thinking as a form of protecting yourself. Like maybe you may err on the side of pessimism, you may err on the side of cynicism and kind of projecting onto the future the pain of your past because you think, or your ego thinks, that will keep you safe if you expect bad things to happen. And what you may or may not realize that you are actually doing is kind of running away from or keeping yourself from things that would actually pull you away from that pain or pull you out of that pain and actually make you happy. But I feel like even then, I think you guys are kind of staying away from things that would actually make you feel good because you are almost in this place where you feel now that if you allow yourself to feel good, if you allow yourself to go for things that you want, you'll end up disappointed, and it's just best to stay unhappy because then you don't have to go through the ups and downs of finding happiness and then feeling like you've lost it, right? But that's just kind of the ebbs and flows of life. You don't need to be afraid of your emotions, which I feel like that's part of this. You're like, it's almost like you guys are afraid of feeling bad. You're afraid of feeling disappointed. You're afraid of feeling hurt because you've already been hurt. So I feel like you guys are just trying to self-sabotage a lot in order to, like I said, kind of keep yourself in this place of struggle so that if you have nothing, then there's nothing to lose, almost. But Spirit is definitely telling you it's time to step out of that. The first card you've pulled is joy. And it's all yellow. So that's also telling me, you know, some of this has to do with your confidence. Maybe you've taken a hit to your confidence. Some of you are in stressful situations or toxic situations. It could be you're at a really stressful or toxic job, but you're afraid to leave it, or you're in a really toxic relationship and you're afraid to leave that. But you've got to have the confidence within yourself to take charge over your life and like kind of like grab it by the reins and like steer yourself toward happiness, because you really deserve it, but you're afraid of it, which is very interesting because it's like, I think your fear of feeling good is coming from a place of, thinking that once you allow yourself to feel good, it'll be stripped from you or taken from you. But that's not the case. And the next card you pulled is excitement. And that harkens back to what I was saying about feeling afraid of disappointment. So I feel like you guys are afraid of the feeling of excitement or the feeling of joy, the feeling of like letting yourself kind of get your hopes up, right? Because you think that they'll just be let down. And it's kind of locking you into this place of the Eight of Swords, right? The struggle card. You see this woman, she's kind of like out in a storm by herself, and she just looks very terrified, really. But the thing about it is, this imagery is like, she's got her walking stick, she's got her lantern, she is covered, so she's warm, and these arrows have all missed their mark. They're all just lying on the ground. She is unscathed. So I feel like, you guys are kind of afraid of a threat before it even gets there. It's like preemptive fear. Like, you guys are just afraid of letting anything happen to you at this point. You're afraid of feeling joy because you think it'll be fleeting, and then you're afraid of feeling more pain, but you're kind of causing your own pain by keeping yourself in this state of like, you're not allowing yourself any reprieve. You're afraid to feel the reprieve, right? Which would be letting go and letting, yourself feel happy again. But then you're also afraid to feel, a new kind of pain or a new disappointment or a new struggle. And so you're keeping yourself locked into that consciousness, right? Which is just kind of like a cage or a prison of your own making, right? You've got the next card you pulled is the Ten of Vessels or the Ten of Cups, which is the happiness card in the Wildwood Tarot deck in reverse. So, like I said, for some of you, you could be in toxic situations that you are afraid to leave. You know it's not good for you anymore, but you think that if you do leave, something bad will happen. Or maybe, if you're in a toxic relationship with a person who treats you badly, or you guys just aren't it for each other, you may feel like, well, I can't find anybody else. Or if you have been in a cycle of toxic situations, maybe you have built the mindset of, this is all it's ever going to be, so I might as well just like get used to this one and like stick with this one, right? You're just, like I said before, kind of keeping yourself in this cage of unhappiness by being afraid to make a move away or towards something new or something else. You don't have to stay here, but I get it. You've got the Two of Stones or the Two of Pentacles here. So I feel like you guys are really stressed, and that's part of why, that stress is part of why you feel so fearful. Because if you are juggling a lot, especially with career and relationships, those two things are some of the most important and like really significant, at the forefront of our minds, topics in our lives, right? What we're doing for money and who we love, right? So if you feel like you're juggling that and it's not working out too well, or if you are feeling just overwhelmed by your workload or your obligations, your responsibilities, that can kind of, if you have this fear of like almost letting the ball drop, I feel like for some of you, you're juggling and you're just afraid, you're terrified that if you make the wrong move, one of those balls will drop and like everything will disintegrate. It's not true, but I'm feeling like that's what's going on. For some of you, it's like afraid to walk away from pain because you just think all that's waiting for you on the other side is more pain, and you've already gotten used to this pain, so you might as well stay here, right? And then for others of you, it's just like afraid to make a move either way because you don't know what's going to happen, and you've kind of developed this fear of the unknown based on your past, and you're projecting that past onto your future. And then I feel like for others of you, it's like you're just overwhelmed by life at the moment, and you're afraid that you're gonna like snap, or you're afraid that you're gonna drop the ball in some way, and that things are just gonna come crashing down on you. But it's really not the case, and you may not even realize that you've kind of developed a fear of joy and excitement. If you have been kind of like all work, no play, or if you have been focusing and trying so hard to keep yourself safe, or to keep you and your loved ones safe, you may need to check on the unconscious ways that you have started to push away happiness or push away joy. When was the last time you let yourself play or just relax or feel, good about something without questioning it or without doubting it? If it's been a while since you've felt that way, I would just really encourage you to take this as permission, okay, that you can start to release some of this fear. But I get it, like I said, I feel like some of this fear is just being exacerbated by stress. And when we're in states of stress, it's near impossible for us to think straight, so I get it. This is your wake-up call. This is your this is your message. This is confirmation if you've been wondering, like, yes, you do need to cultivate some joy in your life, and you do need to stop being so scared of just living your life. Ups and downs, ebbs and flows, they happen. But tell yourself, like, no matter what happens, I will be okay, because you will be, all right? You are not your worst day or your worst month or your worst year. Your life is not going to be made up of bad days. It's going to be made up of a myriad of experiences, and you will feel a myriad of emotions. So don't keep yourself kind of locked in on just this one emotion in your mind. Another thing too that I'm just now realizing is you've got swords, you've got water, you've got pentacles. You've got earth. So what that's saying to me is like, okay, this pain is really going on in your mind. It is being fueled by your emotions and your relationships, things that are tugging at your heartstrings, whether it's, like I said, toxic situations, or feeling the burden of pain from the past. And then on top of it is like your material matters. So it's like a combination of things, and it's almost like you're holding on so tightly, and you think that if you let go, then everything will just come tumbling down. But it's just not. I don't feel like that is what would happen. But if it did, you have to understand anything that has ever crumbled in your life, if that's why you're holding on to this pain, or if that's why you're afraid to feel joy, is because the last time you allowed yourself to let go and feel joy, you were hurt or you lost something. It was meant to go. And I know that's so hard to hear, but the universe is not trying to hurt you. Things that go on in your life, even the stuff that is painful, is there to help you on your path. And it's usually has to do with course correction. Okay? So there's nothing to be scared of. You don't need to be scared. You're safe. And the two cards that you've pulled for your advice on how to overcome these fears is Blessing from the Angel Oracles and Mary, Miracles, from the Goddess Power Oracles. Now with this Blessing card, I'm feeling like this is you needing to remember or to recognize your place within the universe. It's realizing that, like, the same energy that is within all parts of the earth, the trees, the ocean, the sky, it's all the same energy that created you. And you are a part of this entire universe, right? We're all made of star stuff. And if you could really like zoom out of your personal stuff, if you could focus in on the fact that you actually have like a unique, personal, significant place in this world, that you incarnated into this form for a certain purpose, a particular reason, maybe it can kind of help you to step out of, you know, the moments, because everything that happens, like this moment right here, is just a moment in amongst so many moments in your life. So, like I said before, you aren't the worst day of your life. Your whole life will not be defined by the worst times that you've had. You know what I mean? You're a blessing to the world. You being here is a blessing. So, and like I said before, cultivating confidence. I feel like realizing this, realizing you're a blessing, will help give you confidence. And that confidence is going to help keep you safe and make you feel safe. Safe to have fun and do what you enjoy, safe to leave toxic situations behind. Because when you have that confidence, it's kind of just sending a signal to yourself like, I have my own back. I will figure a way out, right? Confidence to me is like not just feeling good about yourself, but it's also just like resourcefulness, perseverance, resilience, strength. So putting yourself in this position of like, wow, I actually came here for a purpose. I actually, and that purpose isn't to be in pain. That purpose isn't to, you know, suffer. That'll help you to overcome this kind of Eight of Arrows, Eight of Swords struggle mindset, and overcome that fear of just feeling joyful, right? It's safe to do so. And the last card you pulled is Mary, Miracles. So to me, this is just confirming that, you know, you're going to, in order to overcome these fears, you're going to have to decide to be courageous and have faith. You know, when Mary shows up, it's kind of like reminding us that miracles happen, especially in times where we may have forgotten or stopped believing in miracles, stopped believing in magic. You know, I feel like some of us really believe in magic or will believe in manifestation, but not for us. Like it happens for everybody else, but for us. And so I think her being here, especially in conjunction with this blessing card, is just kind of reminding you that like you have your own unique place here. You are just as worthy and just as divine as anybody else, no matter what anyone else has told you. So, you know, miracles will happen for you. You just have to believe in them and really have faith. I'm not saying to be reckless. Of course, if it's like a toxic job you're trying to leave, plan, do whatever you need to do, but make the first move, make the first step. Even if that's just admitting to yourself that you're unhappy in whatever situation you are and that you deserve happiness. You do not deserve to settle for unhappiness because it's too scary to move out of it either way, right? You are stronger than you think you are, and you can do it. Honestly, like I said, cultivate some confidence. Remember who you are and realize you weren't sent here to suffer. You were not sent on earth to suffer. You were sent here to emanate and radiate your own particular unique vibration, to raise the consciousness of the collective. Okay, you've got like this great big job to do, and it's like you're afraid to step into your power. But Mary is here to tell you that you are safe to do so. Spirit wants you to know that it is safe to do so. It is safe to stare your fears in the face. It is safe to confront your fears, okay? Because you will overcome them, okay? That's all I've got for you guys, group number 1. I hope it resonated with you. I hope you guys are well on your way to overcoming these fears. Please let me know in the comments down below what's going on, how your Scorpio season turns out, and if you have a happy Halloween. I hope you do. Thank you for spending and sharing your time and energy with me. I really appreciate it. The magic in me honors the magic in you. Be well. Bye. Okay, group number 2, those of you who chose citrine. Okay, so right off the bat, so with you guys, it's very clear to me that you are afraid of expressing your true feelings, expressing what you really think, and expressing who you really are because you are afraid of conflict. You guys, maybe stepping into the role, or maybe you guys have played this role of a pushover or someone who is easily influenced or easily swayed or, manipulated. And I think it's not because you guys are actually like that. It's just you kind of let it happen because you're just afraid of being seen as, mean, or like I said, you're afraid of conflict, so you don't want to fight with people. You are kind of afraid that people will not take you as you really are. And if you actually speak up, you think that people will just kind of like leave you or not accept you, and so you're not accepting yourself. You've got this self-exploration card for the first card you pulled in reverse. And I feel like it's almost like you're not exploring all the aspects of yourself. You're not allowing all of the aspects of yourself to be fully formed because you feel like you'll just be misunderstood. Maybe people have misunderstood you in the past and you've really held on to that, and you've kind of developed this belief that no matter what, you're going to be misunderstood. But you're not realizing that they're like, even though you're afraid of conflict, you may even be causing conflict, because when we put on a charade, or when we bottle our feelings up and we try to repress them, they end up showing up in other ways. So maybe you aren't actually speaking up about how you really feel, but you could be subtly, emotionally manipulative under the surface, and maybe make remarks that you don't actually think or feel, but it's just coming out of you because it's almost like your body is like rebelling against all of this repression, and it's just like, well, I've got to get something out. So even though you guys are afraid of conflict, like I said, you might be causing it by not really being you. And even if you're like, I am being myself, well, like, if you can't speak your mind, if you can't express your feelings, that is a really big part of you. So if you're suppressing that in any way, you aren't letting yourself really be you. If you are behaving in a way that kind of betrays you, but you're just trying to get along, right, with what other people are saying or doing, then you're not letting you be you. And that's causing a conflict regardless, right? So you're almost kind of just like fulfilling your own fear in a way. The next card you pulled is conjunction. So I also feel like you guys kind of feel like, you fear that nothing will ever improve. You're almost acting in this way because, like I said, you fear that you're never going to be understood, or it's almost like there's no option for adjustment because you just think like it's just not going to happen. People don't want to hear what I have to say. They're just going to dismiss me, or whatever it is, or it's just going to cause a fight and I don't want to fight, like all of that stuff. But this card is saying like adjustments and improvements are going to be made whether you like it or not, and they're going to be for the better, and you're actually going to enjoy it. When these improvements start to appear, or if they've already appeared, right, if you've already noticed some adjustments being made or some changes happening. You may be fearful of them because, you may have given yourself kind of like a false sense of security or a false sense of control by keeping your emotions to yourself and keeping your thoughts to yourself and not really being the whole version of you. But there's no need to be afraid. These changes are happening for your own good, and you'll be so much happier for them. Because the next card you've got is King of Vessels or King of Cups in reverse. So, like I said, you guys may be causing the conflict that you're afraid of. So you're afraid to speak your mind and express your emotions, but then in turn your emotions are kind of like almost festering and becoming toxic in your system because you're not allowing them to release, right? You're not letting your energetic body do its natural process of release and like expelling excess, right? So it could be causing you to behave in ways that you're not necessarily proud of, or like I said before, almost like manipulative behaviors. Maybe you're allowing yourself to be manipulated and you realize it's happening, but you're just like, you're too afraid to do too much about it. So you could be feeling like dejected and just like not trusting others. You could be also afraid to trust others. I feel like a lot of this fear has to do with your relationships and how you communicate and who you communicate with and your loved ones. Like I feel like some of you may have overbearing families that you aren't comfortable enough to stand up to, and that's just kind of causing these toxic relationships that are just like I said, it's like causing these emotions to fester. So you're really doing more harm than good. You're almost like manifesting this thing that you're afraid of in the first place. But I get it, if it is family that you are having trouble with, that is really tough because they're your family, right? But family or not, you deserve boundaries, okay? And you deserve to feel safe to express yourself. The next card that you pulled is the Queen of Arrows or the Queen of Swords in reverse. So, like I said, you may be allowing yourself to take on other people's thoughts, take on other people's beliefs. Maybe you have like your own core beliefs, I'm sure you do, and your own way of doing things, but you aren't giving yourself that power. It's like you're giving your power away to others because you're afraid that if you don't give your power away to others, there will be nobody around you. And if people are only want to be around you when they can kind of pull your strings like you're some kind of puppet, you don't want those people around you. And like I said, I know it's tough if it's family because it's family. Like, what are you supposed to do? But what you're supposed to do is set clear boundaries. At some point, you're just going to have to decide that you can't hide anymore. And I feel like with this conjunction card, it's happening. Things are already going to be set into motion because you have a purpose here. We all have a purpose here. So if you aren't fully expressing yourself, if you are allowing yourself to be held back by toxic relationships for fear that you won't have anybody on the other side, you aren't living to your full potential of what you're supposed to be doing here. So that's definitely got to end. The last card you pulled over here for your fears is Seven of Bows or Seven of Wands in reverse. So I feel like for some of you, it's just kind of like a fear of being assertive or a fear of really going for it and like, standing in your truth and stepping into your power. Like you're just ready to almost throw in the towel at this point and just say like, fine, if the only way I can, have love in my life is to give my power away, then that's what I'll do. And it's just, that's not how anyone is meant to live, least of all you. Okay? You cannot give up. The way that you're meant to overcome these fears is through these cards. The first is ascension from the angel oracles. So this tells me two things. It's almost like you've got to ascend, move higher, move so high like you can't even like notice the BS, right? Like just ascend the BS. Like you're done with all of this crap. You're done with manipulation. You're done with toxicity. You're done with allowing yourself to, behave in ways that you're not proud of because you're locked in these toxic situations with people. Like you're moving past that, moving higher to higher grounds. Like this person is walking toward these steps, and the steps lead into light. That's how you're going to overcome these fears, is by moving to higher ground where they can't reach you. Okay? And how you do that, how you help yourself to do that, is by going out into nature, by reconnecting with nature. If you've got an ocean, a lake, a river you can swim in safely, if you've got, a park you can walk through for hours safely, or just like someplace you can just be where none of this can really reach you. And even if, you still have these fears or thoughts in your mind, it's very difficult for them to stay, I think, when you're just in such a peaceful place, when you can just watch birds flying, or when you can like listen to, some hummingbirds or like cicadas if they're around. That's what I was hearing, but I was like, not everybody lives near cicadas, but if you do, like, just going out someplace, even if it's just quiet, if you live by the desert or just anywhere that you can kind of like unplug from all of this confusion and all of this back and forth and petty behavior with other people, and just go back to nature. And kind of like when you get there, it like tell yourself like, yeah, like this is all a part of me. Like this is what's important. Like peace, just living my life, finding some me time. This is what's important. Not going back and forth with these people, not being afraid to be myself because of what they think or how they feel. And like I said, I feel like for a lot of you, this has to do with family. And I get it, they're your family, but you are your own person. You deserve, like I said before, to feel safe, to express everything you think and feel without punishment or without feeling like, and it's like, listen, if people disagree with you, you can't be afraid of that either. Like I said, for a lot of you, this is a fear of conflict. Conflict sometimes just needs to happen. Sometimes discourse is healthy. Like if you have a feeling or a thought, sometimes the best thing for you would be for it to be challenged, right? If it's like something that's actually not serving you, and you express it and someone offers you an alternative perspective and it actually helps you heal, you don't even realize you could be blocking yourself from expansion, right? So, like I said, ascend the BS, and that'll help you to overcome your fears. Go outside by yourself. Find some quiet, peaceful time amongst nature. And it'll kind of like ground you and bring you back down to what's actually important. Okay? The last advice card you pulled for how to overcome your fears is communication, Iris, from the Goddess Power Oracle deck in reverse, right? Because you're not speaking your mind. So this is just saying how you overcome your fears is by tackling them head on, by standing up to yourself, regardless of whatever consequences you think you will face. You've got to stand up for yourself. You've got to decide that your truth is more important than their comfort. Okay? Whoever this is that you are afraid of having conflict with, you've just got to speak your mind. You've just got to. And tell yourself right beforehand, whatever it is, like tell yourself, whatever happens, whatever the outcome is, I will be okay. Because you will be. Okay? I get it. This is your fear, so it's scary. But Spirit is just telling you to confront it head on and stand up for yourself. Say everything. Get it all out there. Lay it all out on the table. Make sure, if this is some really intense stuff, that you are safe, of course. If it's family and you're going to have to stay somewhere else that night, make sure you've got something lined up for sure. I'm hearing that for some of you. I want everyone to be safe. I do not want anyone to go fighting or anything like that. I just want you to stand up for yourself, and I want you to speak your truth, and I want you to do it for you, to be your own hero in this situation, okay? You will surprise yourself at how strong you are. All right, that's all I've got for you guys, group number 2. I hope this resonated with you. Let me know in the comments down below if it did. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy with me. I really appreciate it. The magic in me honors the magic in you. Be well. Bye. Hey, group number 3, those of you who chose blue quartz. Okay, so for you guys, I'm feeling like you're afraid of change. I feel like you're afraid the unknown. You're afraid of newness. You're afraid of thinking differently. You're afraid of how you really feel about your current situation. You are afraid of movement. You guys are just kind of keeping yourself at a standstill and keeping yourself in old ways of thinking and being because you're afraid of moving on from it. You don't know what's on the other side. So, and what could be waiting for you could just be completely different from anything you've ever experienced, and that scares you. And I feel like it could also be causing some confusion for you guys, because I think some of you know, consciously, yes, I'm afraid of change, and then some of you are kind of unhappy in your situation. You want it to change, but you're kind of start and stop. You're not being very organized, and maybe your emotions aren't matching up with what you're saying or what you're thinking, but it's a sign of actually being afraid of change. And I feel like some of you might even be afraid of success. So, some of you could be possibly trying to manifest success, whatever that means to you, and it's evading you because there are parts of you that don't actually want that to happen for whatever reason. There are so many unconscious reasons why we may or may not be afraid of success, right? We could feel like it could possibly cause people to think of us differently or ruin our relationships. Maybe we don't want to literally move from our home, our current home. There's so many reasons, but whatever reason, that's what I'm getting for you guys. You're afraid of change, but change is the only constant. And even if those ways are subtle, you are always changing and you are always developing and evolving. But I feel like some of you are trying to stunt your growth because you're afraid of growing past a certain point because you don't know what's going to be on the other side. The first card you pulled is emotional expression. So you've got to get real with yourself and just feel what you feel. Let the feelings come out. Have some conversations with yourself and really tap into how it is that you feel. Because like I said, some of you don't even realize you're afraid of change. Some of you think you want the change to happen and it's not happening and you're getting frustrated. And it's like, why is this not happening? And it's because there's parts of you that are actually afraid of it happening. So first things first is you've got to stop being afraid of your emotions and stop worrying about what is the right or wrong thing to feel in this situation. There is no right or wrong thing. You just are feeling what you're feeling, and those emotions are going to inform you on the next steps to take. They're going to inform you on who you really are as well and what you really need as a person, which is valuable, priceless information. Okay? The next card you pulled is optimism. So some of you may be literally afraid to be optimistic. You don't want to get your hopes up, or you don't want to welcome this change positively because, a lot of us have been taught that optimism is foolish, right? devil may care of like, you know, getting yourself into jams and how you're supposed to get yourself out. But it's not about that. You don't need to be afraid to be optimistic about your situation. You don't need to be afraid to think happy thoughts about whatever it is you want to manifest. Optimism isn't saying that you throw rationale completely out of the window. It's not ignoring that bad things could happen, bad things, right? It's not ignoring that things could go wrong. It is accepting that things can go wrong, but not expecting them to happen. So you can accept it, you can know that that is a possibility, but you don't have to expect it. So part of the reason why you're afraid of this change is because you're afraid that it'll go wrong, right? The next card you pulled is the Eight of Bows, or the Eight of Wands in reverse. So this is hearkening back to what I was saying earlier for some of you, that you have been working hard trying to push your dreams forward, whatever those may be, or push your projects forward, but it's like you're start and stop and you're all over the place, and you may be disorganized, and it may be leaving you frustrated, and you're like multitasking or putting too much on your plate, and you may be giving yourself busy work trying to avoid these uncomfortable truths, right, of whatever you're feeling, or trying to avoid making the moves that you need to be making towards change, towards, you know, bettering your situation. And that's probably because you're afraid, like I said before, of things going wrong. The next card you pulled is the Ten of Arrows, or the Ten of Swords. So with this card here, you know, it's a pretty heavy card. Luckily with this deck, the Wildwood Tarot deck, it's not such heavy imagery. But usually, you know, it's somebody lying face down with 10 swords in their back. It's pretty intense, right? It's not something that you really want to see. And I feel like that's kind of you not wanting that to happen. Like just being like, I can't take the stress of things going wrong. I can't take the stress of, you know, my dreams not coming true, or this situation not going how I want it to. And maybe this was already you. Maybe you've already had some significant loss in your life, and that's led you to this fear of change. But you will always be okay. You will always get out of it, especially when you allow yourself to, right? Just tell yourself, no matter what happens, I will be okay. Because you will be. You've got to believe in it. All right? Stop resisting this change. It has to happen. In order for you to get to this Ace of Arrows, to breathe new life, right? Breath of life. It's like you're afraid of this too. You're afraid of new ideas. You're afraid of, you know, thinking differently. You know, this expression may be going hand in hand with your fear of thinking differently. You might be feeling like you're afraid of a new mindset, right? Maybe you were taught growing up to think a certain way, and now that's kind of going away, but you're trying to hold on to it and grasp it and not let it go away, because, you know, you could be feeling like, wait, that's not right. It's all a part of growing up, and it doesn't really matter how old you are. It's all a part of growing up, realizing that, you know, you will change, you will evolve, and as you do, the things that no longer align with who you are will fall away, and you don't have to, you know, fall chasing after them, right? As you climb, as you go up, as you ascend, you don't need to run back down trying to chase whatever the universe has happily, you know, relieved you from, right? It's not even taking. It's like, oh, I will relieve you of these duties. Like, you know what I mean? I will take this burden off your back. You no longer need to carry this. Like, you don't have to run out. You don't have to run after old belief systems that no longer serve you. Okay, let this Ace of Swords happen. Let the new ideas and the new ways of thinking and the mindsets happen. And it's okay. Honor your feelings about how whatever that makes you feel, you know, honor that. But I feel like you guys are afraid of just it's almost like you're afraid of your own mind at this point. Like you're just like, oh, I'm feeling all of these things. I'm thinking all of these things. Why is this happening? Why can't things just stay the way they are? And it's like, no, they can't. And you need to be optimistic about this change. That doesn't make you a fool. It doesn't mean that as soon as you get your hopes up, they're going to be let down. Like this Ten of Swords does not need to happen. And if it already has happened, that is the past. Okay? You don't need to let your vision of the future be clouded by your past. Okay? And how you get over all of this is by believing. Look at that. Look at that imagery. This person is just out on their own boat, solo, in the middle of the ocean. And I don't know if you can see, but their hands are outstretched like in triumph. And it's like this woman in the sky is like the universe, right? With the planets and everything in her hair. And she's cradling this person, letting them know like they are safe. It is safe for you to have this optimism. Believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, believe in the vision that you have for your life. Have faith that everything is going to work out. It's safe to do so. So when you have these fears and these doubts of change and all of that stuff, or you fear like you can't handle the change, challenge those thoughts with belief. Challenge those thoughts with faith. Even if your whole heart isn't in it, right? Even if you feel foolish while doing it, argue with yourself, argue with your fears, confront them with optimism, okay? The last card you have for advice for your advice how to overcome these fears is Ishtar, communion. So you guys have to reconnect with your spirituality. No matter what, if you're a religious person, you can pray, whatever it is that you believe in, even if that is just yourself, right? Even if you don't believe in a higher power, you've got you, believe in you then. But this is asking you to commune with all that is unseen, right? Recognizing and remembering that there is a path for your life, there's a purpose to your life. You did not incarnate in this lifetime to fear living, to fear change, the natural change and evolution of your life. That's not why you came here. And I feel like getting back to your roots as a spiritual being, reconnecting with that feeling of, wow, yes, like I am a soul, I have a body, like reconnecting with the fact that there are energies and entities that are helping you and aiding you that you can't see, but you can feel them and you can listen to them if you pay attention. I feel like that's what it is. It's like they're asking you to ask them for help, to help you overcome this fear of change. They're with you. So every time you leave your house, right, you can say like, okay, spirit guides, or okay, ancestors, okay, angels, will you please come with me? I need you guys with me. I need you to back me up. That is all they need, is just you reaching out to them. So reach out. You don't have to overcome any of this alone. You don't have to do it alone. I mean, it doesn't need to be, you don't only need help from people who are, flesh and bone like you. It can be, like I said, your ancestors, your spirit guides, your angels, or whatever it is that you believe in. Okay? Even if that's just yourself, it could be your higher self. You can talk to your higher self and be like, hey, will you please lead me today? Will you please help me to have courage today? Help me to have courage to accept this change and to accept myself through this change. All right? I feel like once you guys do that, you're going to come out on top. And whatever change is coming is going to be fabulous. You're going to be so happy you let it happen. All right? That's all I've got for you guys. Number 3, let me know down below in the comments if it resonated. I really hope it did. I hope you guys have a really beautiful Scorpio season and a really happy Halloween. Thank you for sharing your time and your energy with me. I really appreciate it. The magic in me honors the magic in you. Be well.